You're watching Adorama TV.
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Adorama TV. I'm Mark Wallace. Well, today we're going to be talking about the Nikon Speedlight SB-700, and it's right here. Now, this Speedlight is one of the newest in Nikon's lineup, and it is made to be a fully functioning pro Speedlight that's not going to break the bank. So this is a $330 Speedlight, which is an exceptional value. And so let me go through some of the features of this. So I'm going to slide this on my camera here and lock it on. Now, this has a normal flash head positioning that you would expect. So you can bounce things off the ceiling, and you can rotate this and do anything you need to do to bounce the light. And so that functionality is there just as you would expect. And it even has this little trick where you can pop this down one little step to tell the flash, hey, I'm shooting something really close, and so don't blast it out. So you've got things like that that you would expect in a Speedlight of this caliber. And also it can be used as a transmitter or a receiver to control up to 2 groups if it's in a commander, or it can be part of 3 groups if it's one of the receivers. So over here you've got this little switch that says remote or master, and so in master mode you can control up to 2 groups, or if it's in a remote you can join one of 3 groups of Speedlights. And so it's really nice for those of you that just need something as an additional remote Speedlight. This is a great option for that. Now, the other thing is there is a switch right here on the side, and what that allows you to do is to choose from 3 different light distribution patterns. And so this little switch over here on the slider allows you to choose from one of 3 things. So you can have standard for general illumination, which is right there, or you can have center weighted, which is this next one down, and that's great for portraits. And then we have this one down here, which is even, and that's great for groups or interiors. So it sort of tells you how the light is going to be distributed, which is a really nice feature. And again, you can just go right in there and flip that switch and get right to the setting that you want without having to dig into a bunch of menus, which is really nice and helps you do things really quickly. Now, the other thing that this flash has, and it's in the bag here that I really like, all these little goodies right here. So let's say, for example, that you need to balance the flash, the color temperature of this flash to a nice tungsten light. Well, here's an amber gel, and that will just pop right on the front of this, just like that. Now, the trick with this is, and this is something I really love, on the bottom of this flash, there are these little tabs down here. And so when this pops on, it pushes a certain combination of those tabs, and it tells the flash that it has an amber gel, and then it tells the camera, well, hey, my color temperature of this flash is now 3800 Kelvin, and so it makes sure that the white balance is set to the correct color temperature, and so everything is looking good. And so you can just do all your color management that way. And the same thing is if you're shooting with maybe fluorescent lights, it tells it what the color temperature is, and so all of that stuff happens automatically. In fact, a lot of people don't even know it's happening. They just flip this on their flash, and the pictures turn out looking great. And so you don't have to know a lot of stuff. You just sort of stick stuff on there, and it takes care of the rest yourself. And then you've got a normal diffusion that you can pop on there to really soften the light, and that will go over those gels as well. And that all comes as part of this kit. Well, the other thing that is really nice about this flash is you can use it on a camera that has an FX or DX format sensor. So depending on the sensor size, you want a different distribution of light. Well, that happens, again, automatically with this flash. You just sort of slide it on the camera, and it is smart enough to know what kind of sensor you have and how to distribute the light, which is really cool. Well, sometimes there are new features that come out, and you need to update the firmware. Well, this flash allows you to update the firmware, and so you get performance enhancements and new developments. And so that is a really nice feature of this flash. And that works with most Nikon digital SLRs. Most newer digital SLRs allows you to update the firmware through the camera, which is really, really cool. And the other thing is this flash uses Nikon's ITTL flash control. So if you're used to ITTL control, if you've been a Nikon shooter for a while, all of the functionality of your flashes that you've learned and have come to love, well, they're all built into this flash. So everything will work just like all your other Speedlights have over the years. Well, the other thing that's really sort of cool is called Versatile Auto Power Zoom Coverage. And what that means is when you have a zoom lens like this, and I'll turn this flash on here, well, when you zoom the lens in and out, there's an element in the back of this that's going to be zooming in and out, and so it knows that the angle of view of the camera is getting narrower and that your subject is getting farther away, and so it's narrowing the angle of view of the flash and making sure that it can go and travel in a farther distance, and so that's all lining up automatically as well. And one other thing that I really like about this flash, and you can see that there's a long list of things I like about this flash, but this one is they've really streamlined the menu. And so what they've done that I really like is things like changing from TTL to manual, or if you want to use a guide number or control things in zones. Well, you can get to almost all of that just by flipping these switches here. And so what they've done is Nikon has allowed just the very bare minimum of functionality that you really have to get to through the menus. And so all the major stuff is just a click or a dial away. And so it's just the advanced stuff or the custom configurations that you have to dive into the menus to control. Except for if you're using this flash in master mode, then you can go and use the select button to choose which group that you're increasing or decreasing power to, or turning on or off, or changing the way it's behaving. But it's so intuitive that, again, it's not like setting a watch from the 70s where you had to know the different combinations of button clicks and hold this for 5 seconds. And none of that is in this flash. You just push the select button, roll this dial, hit OK for almost all of the features. It's really intuitive. Now, this flash also has something that is found on higher price flash. It's called FV lock, and that stands for flash value lock. And that's where if you just need to lock the flash value in and keep it there regardless of the aperture or the composition of the lens or what's going on for tricky lighting situations, well, you can do that with this flash as well. And there's one more thing that I really like about this flash that is really nice. And what this allows you to do is there's a drip-proof mounting foot cover. It's called the Water Guard, and that provides optimized enhanced moisture protection, and that is an optional feature. So you can get that for this flash. Well, that's it. It's the Nikon Speedlight SB-700, and again, it's $330, which is a phenomenal value from Nikon, and I highly suggest it if you are looking for your very first Nikon external flash. Well, I think this is the one for you. Again, it's the Nikon Speedlight SB-700 for $330. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember, if you have a question about photography or a question about photography gear, send it to me at AskMark@Adorama.com. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.
This episode is brought to you by Adorama TV. Visit the Adorama Learning Center, where you'll find photography tips and techniques, links to the gear used in this episode, and related videos. For all the latest photography, video, and computer gear, visit Adorama.com. And the next time you're in New York City, visit our store, located on 18th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue.